Hello ladies, gentlemen and in-betweeners, welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Tuesday 28th of January 2020 and today we're starting with a couple of updates from PAP Report on the 22nd of January, last Wednesday, and PAP Report 10th of January. And also some items I wasn't able to add to yesterday's video due to some time constraints, along with some new reports. So the update first, regarding Inspector Tony Lumb, whose misconduct hearing was actually held on Friday. Here's a little reminder. Sussex Police Inspector Anthony Lumb, based in Brighton, is to face a misconduct hearing on Friday over accusations in respect of authority, respect and courtesy, duties and responsibilities and discreditable conduct. Got a full pack there. The conduct is allegedly acting inappropriately on several occasions when he engaged in sexual activity while on duty. Inspector Tony Lumb chose not to appear before the independently chaired misconduct hearing at Sussex Police Headquarters on Friday, January 24th, to face allegations that he had breached standards of professional behaviour in respect of authority, respect and courtesy, duties and responsibilities and discreditable conduct. The hearing heard that he had formed inappropriate relationships with 5 vulnerable women and acted inappropriately on several occasions between 2002 and 2016 when he engaged in sexual activity whilst on duty. Lumb was suspended at the point of the allegations coming to light in 2017 and the case was referred to the IOPC for a full investigation. In 2018, the IOPC subsequently directed Sussex Police to progress a gross misconduct hearing following a review by the CPS. At the misconduct hearing, the majority of the allegations were in fact proven, but they found insufficient evidence with regards to one of the women he was alleged to have had an inappropriate relationship with. The head of professional standards at Sussex Police, Chief Superintendent Lisa Bell, said, "We expect the highest possible standards of our officers and staff, and we take any report of inappropriate behaviour extremely seriously. Tony Lumb's behaviour is a violation of the trust that the public put in the police to serve and protect them. He has let down his victims and his colleagues who carry out an enormous amount of good work with victims of serious offences every day. He has let down Sussex Police, the people of Sussex and vulnerable victims who must be able to trust those they turn to for help." Chief Superintendent Bell, the former Brighton and Hove Divisional Commander, added, "Protecting vulnerable people is a key priority for Sussex Police. For any member of the police service to pursue a sexual or improper relationship with a member of the public by using their role to gain an advantage is an abuse of their position and a form of serious corruption." So although no criminal elements were identified, the cockwomble got the boot, although it's not known at this time if he has been barred from policing through the College of Policing. A Police Scotland sergeant no longer holds his position within the force and apparently faces prison after admitting to the possession of child abuse images, extreme pornographic images depicting in an explicit and realistic way bestiality, and sending a WhatsApp message of intimate photos of a woman without her knowledge, consent or approval. 50-year-old Anthony Kelly was engaging in the activity while he was in charge of locking up offenders at Coatbridge Police Station custody in Lanarkshire. Kelly admitted all 3 charges at Glasgow Sheriff Court on Thursday and will be sentenced in March. Although Dirty Kelly is no longer working for Police Scotland, it is at this time unclear whether he left of his own accord or whether he was given the boot. Over the past years, we have seen an increase in new initiatives by councils and police which seem more to do with revenue generating or control than actual policing, including PSPOs or Public Space Protection Orders, which seem to do little for the public spaces and more to do with profiteering. Well, as an Englishman or woman, you would also have heard that your home is your castle, and even if you still believe that in this day and age, this will probably change your mind, because I've just found out that local councils are and have been dishing out CPNs or Community Protection Orders since they were introduced by Theresa May when she was Home Secretary all the way back in 2014. It's not enough that we have council noise complaint systems or police to help with potential domestic assaults, but now if you so much as argue with your partner in your own home, you could be getting slapped with a CPN for disrupting your neighbour's everyday life. I kid you not, people. We are now not even allowed to have a heated debate in our own homes without the establishment poking their porky little noses in. If you do anything which is deemed to be disruptive to your neighbours, such as arguing or even crying loudly, your local council could slap you with a notice which bans you from continuing. Obviously, if it continues, then fines will likely follow because, let's face it, it's not a criminal offence, except for some extreme cases. But just another way for the government to control you. This means that, based on who is dealing with the complaint from your neighbour, this is again another subjective matter that the establishment is trying to criminalise without actual standards. Now, what do I mean by standards? Well, let's say, for example, a crying baby, newborn, in a house which was built with thin walls or in a flat is something that could be looked at by one person who will simply say, it can't be helped. It's not excessive, just sounds louder because the walls are thin, or may even tell the person complaining to get over it. It's a baby crying. What do you want me to do about it? Because that's what I'd say. Whereas the next person could come along, be having a bad day and slap a new mother, with an order for her to shut up her baby, which of course she's not going to be able to do because it's a baby. Therefore, the next step would be, no doubt, to fine her for her baby doing what babies do. This is something that we're seeing more often these days, with issues being judged on how people feel at the time with no strict guidelines or rules. I mean, noise complaints have been dealt with by environmental health through the council for as long as I can remember. And with continuing noise complaints, potentially comes a breach of the peace. Nothing wrong with the way it was handled before, but that was for noises that were excessive. For example, hammering at 7 AM or drilling at 11 PM, playing music at full volume several hours a day every day, among others. But this whole CPM seems to be giving people the opportunity to make complaints against anyone they want, with the determination coming from how somebody feels on the day of the investigation. How can this be right? How can it be justified? I mean, I snore loudly, and my upstairs neighbour has taken a piss out of me before because she's heard me snoring. On the other hand, her kid runs around on a Sunday morning. Now, are these things part and parcel of life, or are they being done to annoy the other person? Or are they being done without thought for the other person? Of course not. These are just things that we must live with, and so to give someone the power to complain of it, or because they've heard an argument, is absolutely the epitome of fuckwittery. And this, to me, seems to stem from this whole snowflake agenda that the government is trying to push on us. Giving people more tools to fight among themselves will take the people's minds off of the government and what they're doing, and helps them to control us better. After all, we've all heard of divide and conquer. Well, what better way than to set people against each other to fight it out, while the government and the establishment take control more and more of our lives. Metropolitan Police have announced that they will be rolling out their facial recognition cameras operationally on the streets of London, and will be used for apparently 5 to 6 hours per day, with bespoke lists of suspects wanted for serious and violent crimes drawn up each time. The police have said that their cameras identified 70% of suspects, but an independent review found much lower accuracy. Privacy campaigners said it was a serious threat to civil liberties. In fact, Silky Carlo from Big Brother Watch said the Met's use of facial recognition was likely unlawful, risked harming public rights, and was 81% inaccurate. Now that's a hell of a difference from 70% accuracy reported by the police. In fact, the force believes that a recent High Court judgment which said South Wales Police did not breach the rights of a man whose face had been scanned by a camera gives it some legal cover. That particular case is heading for the Court of Appeal, but the Met is pressing on, convinced that the public at large will support its efforts to use facial recognition to track down serious offenders, even if civil liberties campaigners do not. Now, I'm going to tell you where I stand on this, and please feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think that if police did literally only load up faces of people who are believed to be in a particular area at a particular time based on specific intelligence, then I have no problem with that. Dangerous criminals need to be caught and dealt with. Excuse me, my voice is going. However, I'm not at all okay with being scanned multiple times a day by multiple cameras on the off chance that I look a little bit like someone on their database. If there are multiple markers and the match percentage is high, say 85% or above, and that I look like the specific person they're looking for, then I'm happy to engage with them in the interest of having my face removed from their database. Now, I have been in trouble with the police, as you all know, and they will have my picture. So I'm not talking about having my face removed from the PNC, although that would be nice. But I would want my face marked as a no match to the person they are looking for. That way their system, if it is designed in such a way, can learn not to pick me up on facial recognition when searching for the person they're looking for. The Information Commissioner launched an investigation into the use of facial recognition by the estate's developer, Argent, saying that the technology is a potential threat to privacy and should concern us all. The investigation continues. The ICO, which is the UK's data protection watchdog, said a broader inquiry into how police use live facial recognition technology found there was public support for its use, although it needed to be appropriately governed, targeted and intelligence-led, as I just said. The Met Police had given assurances that it is taking steps to reduce intrusion, but the government should introduce a legally binding code of practice, an ICO spokeswoman said, and that should be done with input from the public. This is an important new technology with potentially significant privacy implications for UK citizens, she said. Let me know what you think in the comments. Our next report is courtesy of Enoch's Ghost and Fred blogs, who both sent me a link to this very same article. 60-year-old Gary Webb from Gatehouse of Fleet in Dumfries and Galloway has been awarded £100,000 in compensation from Police Scotland after being wrongfully arrested and sent to prison on remand. Mr. Webb, who had no prior criminal convictions, was arrested at his home by detectives who had a warrant for a different person. Even after Mr. Webb showed his passport, driving licence and photos around his home as proof of mistaken identity, the detective said they would need to take him to the police station and handcuffed him. Even after the police took Mr. Webb's fingerprints, which would have confirmed he was not the person they were looking for, he still spent a night in police station cells and then a further 3 nights in a cell at Addywell Prison before being released without, surprise, surprise, any explanation or apology. Mr. Webb said, "My life has been trashed after this, completely trashed. I was at home with my wife, then being held in cuffs with no one believing who I was and facing the worst kind of criminal charges imaginable, and that I thought I was going insane. How could no one believe I was me?" After he was released, Mr. Webb made a formal complaint for wrongful arrest, but it took 2 years for his complaint to be rejected by the internal police investigation and recorded as a quality of service issue. Wow, quality of service issue over potentially ruining someone's life. Unfucking believable. Webb then contacted the Police Investigations and Review Commission, PIRC, who ordered the arrest of 5 officers and reported them to the Crown Office over allegations of criminal neglect of duty and attempting to pervert the course of justice. Following a 2-year investigation, the Crown Office said none of the 5 officers would face prosecution. Mr. Webb said, "I experienced things I should never have had to. I had to leave my work as my mental health was affected by everything." The PIRC did a fantastic job and left no stone unturned during its investigation, so without them and my own legal team, I wouldn't be where I am now. But Police Scotland and its behaviour has been utterly despicable. They clearly know of wrongdoing or they wouldn't have paid damages. A partner at Digby Brown Solicitors who represented Mr. Webb said the life of an innocent man was completely ruined because of the deliberate and malign acts of police officers who are meant to keep people safe. I would like to think an inquiry will occur in due course to ensure innocent people are not illegally detained and Police Scotland staff who act illegally will be held accountable. Alan Spears, Police Scotland's Assistant Chief Constable, said, "We recognise the significant impact this incident and our poor initial response had on Mr. Webb, and following the conclusion of legal proceedings, we'll seek to discuss these matters with him and offer an unreserved apology." The Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service instructed the Police Investigations and Review Commissioner to investigate the circumstances, and the COPFS has instructed there should be no criminal proceedings. He added, our officers and staff work with commitment and professionalism day in and day out to provide high quality policing services for the public. When learning opportunities are identified, Police Scotland is committed in supporting officers and staff who have acted in good faith. However, we will not comment on internal misconduct matters. Unfucking believable. An apology, some compo, but no action against the police who instigated this horrific time in Mr. Webb's life. Next, we have 2 reports over Gwent Police, courtesy of DieBlack155, who sent this info to me. PC Clark, Gwent Police have failed to give the constable's full name, is currently looking at losing his job over a claim of inappropriate behaviour in the workplace. PC Clark's misconduct hearing commences at 9:30 on the 30th of January at Gwent Police HQ. Clark will attend a special case hearing to answer allegations that his conduct amounts to a breach of the standards of professional behaviour in relation to duties and responsibilities and discreditable conduct. However, as yet there is no further information, so we don't know what he's done. So I will of course update you as the information becomes available. Second report out of Gwent Police is that PC Harris, yet again Gwent Police have failed to give the full name of this public servant, who will have to attend a misconduct hearing between February the 3rd and the 7th and faces losing their job over an alleged road rage charge on the Severn Bridge. The behaviours of PC Harris which breached the standards of professional behaviour are recorded as: 1. You shouted aggressively and repeatedly at Mr. W, who was the driver of another vehicle, using hurty words. You took hold of the wing mirror of Mr. W's car and attempted to pull the wing mirror off the vehicle. You then started hitting the wing mirror with your open hand in order to damage it. 3. You repeatedly sounded your car horn in order to intimidate Mr. W. 4. You caused your vehicle to collide with the rear of Mr. W's vehicle in anger and as a means of intimidating him on one or more occasions, thereby causing damage. 5. You got out of your vehicle in order to confront Mr. W and shouted at him continuously and aggressively using offensive words. Conduct is alleged to be so serious that it constitutes gross misconduct. So, obviously, I will keep you all abreast of the outcomes of these incidents as the information becomes available. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.